Hi, it's Elisa with Black Moon Conjure. This video is obviously about Abaddon. I wanted to talk to you about what it was like when he showed up in my life. Some people say you don't call Abaddon, Abaddon calls you. Well, that's what happened to me, and it took months to figure it out. Abaddon did not reveal a name or a sigil. It was a series of symbols that I had to figure out. It started with getting certain tarot cards in my readings that signified new journeys or new adventures, and these cards kept repeating themselves. It was like I was being trolled. I remember a heavy, strong energy around me. You would call it a masculine energy or maybe dark feminine energy, but it was very intense. I noticed electrical problems going out and the internet dropping out a lot. My phone freezing up more than usual. I seriously wondered if it was Belial, because for me, this is something very common with Belial, but the energy felt different. I started having bizarre dreams, and some were lucid dreams. I remember one involved insects with antennas. And so I thought, well, this is probably not Beelzebub because it's not flies. And it's probably not Belial because it's not spiders. But I couldn't figure it out. I started having dreams about keys. So I wondered if it was Hecate. But she was the first deity that I ever worked with. And this energy just felt different. I remember one dream. It was daytime in the dream, but there were these like dark, ominous clouds in the sky, and people were running and freaking out, and they were draining all of their money out of ATMs because there was a plague or something coming. I didn't know what it was. It was like the end of the world. And basically, I was just standing there and watching all these people freak out. In the waking world, I was having some bizarre stuff happening. I remember standing in my kitchen and watching the toaster oven turn itself on and then turn itself back off again. And this whole time I'm feeling this massive energy. Now, I know some people say deities don't cause paranormal activity, they have better things to do, blah, blah, blah. Well, I've seen it. And it may not be on purpose, it may not be like these deities are playing tricks on us. It may be something about their energy interferes with our, I don't know, maybe it's electrical current. I really don't know. But I do believe this stuff happens because I've seen too much of it. So the dreams continued. I finally had one where I saw a man. If it was Abaddon, he manifested as a man wearing a dark suit and he had black hair. He was sitting at a restaurant alone at a table with a white tablecloth, and on the table was a huge bouquet of red roses. And the man, he wrote on a card and he placed it on a rose. And then he stood up and left. And the restaurant hostess took me to the same table that was now empty, and I noticed that he had left behind a gold ring adorned in these really expensive jewels. It looked like something in a museum, and I wondered if he meant to leave it or if he lost it. And then I noticed something on the table that was relative to me at the time, and it was also gold and covered in jewels. So I knew at least one of the items was for me. So I put them in my pocket and decided to try to figure out where he went. And I remembered that he had left a card on the roses. So I read it. And unbelievable, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something like follow me or walk with me, something to that effect. So I took just one of the roses and walked outside, and I saw a huge spinning vortex, and I just stood there holding the rose close to me, and seriously, I was unsure if I should enter the vortex or not, and I'm trying to figure this out, and I woke up. In real life, I was still having all sorts of electrical disturbances, and I was still feeling this strong energy, but I was still clueless. What finally did it was a dream. And in the dream, I saw a Bible, and it was open to Revelation 9:11. And in the dream, I even heard people talking about the Twin Towers in 9/11. It was like something was determined that I was going to remember 9/11, and that stood out to me. And in case you don't know, that's the verse that references Abaddon in the Bible. Now, I thought that was bizarre. Obviously, well, I'm not a Christian, and if anything, I view Abaddon as a demonized pagan god, but it's like whatever clues that he could give to me, that's what I was getting. It didn't matter what I believed. Abaddon had not been on my radar. So I did a tarot reading with a spirit guide and asked if I should work with Abaddon. And the cards I pulled told a beautiful story, actually. It was all very positive. So I finally invoked Abaddon, but I still had trouble believing that he had come to me and that he didn't give up when I couldn't figure out who he was. And I don't usually do this, but I asked him for a sign. And I told him that I really relied on dreams or synchronicities, but that I needed something to prove that I was on the right path. And about 2 hours later, I am not kidding, I had a bizarre synchronicity. I was reading, and when I read a couple of specific words, I heard the same words on the podcast that I was listening to. And I kid you not, the person that was in the room with me also spoke the same two words. It all happened at the same time. And those type of things, they always freak me out. But I'm telling you, I was seriously freaked because I had just asked Abaddon for a sign just a couple of hours earlier. I had planned to include what it's been like to work with Abaddon, but he's still around me. And I learned something, or I noticed something about him frequently. So I think I'll just make this into 2 separate videos. If this video resonated with you, or if you just like working with Abaddon, or if you've had a similar experience with a different deity, please feel free to hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you for watching. Hell, Abaddon should die.